Breaking news: Israel has once again found itself at the center of global attention after conducting a rare and controversial airstrike in Doha, the capital of Qatar, targeting senior Hamas officials. The strike, carried out late at night, marked a significant escalation in Israel's ongoing campaign against Hamas beyond the traditional battlefields of Gaza, southern Lebanon, or Syria. For the first time in years, an Israeli operation struck inside the territory of a wealthy Gulf monarchy, triggering alarm across the Middle East and raising new questions about regional security, sovereignty, and the scope of Israel's anti-Hamas strategy. Qatar, long considered one of the key mediators between Hamas and the West, has hosted several leaders of the group, offering them political space while simultaneously maintaining strong ties with Washington. This delicate balancing act was shattered overnight when explosions lit up the skies over Doha, shocking residents and sending shockwaves through the international diplomatic community. Eyewitnesses reported loud blasts near residential compounds, with ambulances rushing to the scene. While Israel claimed it targeted high-value Hamas command and operational figures, Qatari officials described the strike as a blatant violation of sovereignty and international law. Turkey, a close ally of Qatar and a country that has long supported the Palestinian cause, immediately condemned the strike. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan convened an emergency Security Council meeting, warning that no nation is safe if Israel is allowed to carry out cross-border assassinations unchecked. Turkish officials further voiced concern that Ankara itself could become a future target, especially since Hamas has maintained political offices in Turkey and several leaders have traveled there in recent months. Ankara's defense ministry announced that military readiness along its southern border had been raised, while Turkish intelligence was ordered to reassess the security of Palestinian figures residing on its soil. The United States, caught in an awkward diplomatic position, urged restraint from all parties. Washington has historically relied on Qatar as a key partner in mediating ceasefires, negotiating hostage exchanges, and facilitating humanitarian aid to Gaza. With the strike, the U.S. now risks losing a vital diplomatic channel. American officials expressed deep concern over the widening scope of Israel's military campaign, but analysts suggest Washington is unlikely to impose meaningful limits on Israeli actions given the strong alignment between the Biden administration and the Netanyahu government on counterterrorism policy. In Europe, reactions were divided. Germany and the United Kingdom defended Israel's right to act against what they described as terrorist threats, while France, Spain, and Ireland condemned the operation, highlighting the dangers of violating Qatari sovereignty. The European Union's Foreign Affairs Council called for an emergency session to assess the potential fallout for energy markets, as Qatar is one of the world's largest exporters of liquefied natural gas, LNG. Any instability in Doha, they warned, could trigger global energy price spikes. Meanwhile, the Arab League convened in Cairo, where several member states denounced Israel's reckless aggression. Qatar's foreign minister demanded an international investigation and accused Israel of attempting to sabotage ongoing peace discussions. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, though critical of Hamas, voiced concern that Israel's expansion of its military campaign into the Gulf region could destabilize the fragile balance of power across the Middle East. For Hamas, the strike dealt both a symbolic and practical blow. Reports indicate that at least 2 mid-level commanders were killed, though the group's top leadership remains intact. Hamas vowed retaliation, releasing a statement calling the strike a cowardly act of terrorism against unarmed political figures. Analysts warn that Hamas could now seek to target Israeli or Jewish interests outside the Middle East, raising the risk of asymmetric attacks in Europe, Africa, or Asia. In Turkey, Erdogan's government is under domestic pressure to take a stronger stance. Nationalist voices within Ankara's parliament are demanding that Turkish air defenses be placed on high alert and that security cooperation with Israel be suspended indefinitely. Some opposition figures, however, urge caution, warning that escalating tensions with Israel could harm Turkey's fragile economy, which is already under stress from inflation and currency volatility. The strike also put Qatar in an extremely difficult position. Doha has long balanced its close ties with Hamas against its strategic relationship with the United States, where it hosts the largest American airbase in the Middle East, Al Udeid Air Base. Qatari officials fear that their role as mediator is now severely compromised, as Hamas may no longer feel secure within their borders, while Israel and its allies may view Qatar as too accommodating to the group. From a military standpoint, the operation demonstrated Israel's ability to strike far beyond its borders with precision. Experts suggest the strike was carried out using advanced air-to-surface missiles launched either from Israeli aircraft flying over international waters or through drone technology with intelligence support from Western partners. The fact that Israeli jets or drones penetrated Gulf airspace undetected raises serious questions about regional air defense networks, particularly those of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and even the U.S. military presence in the region. Globally, markets responded with immediate volatility. Oil prices spiked by nearly 4% in early trading, and LNG futures also jumped, reflecting concerns that further instability in Doha could affect supply chains. Investors fear that a prolonged confrontation between Israel and Qatar, especially if Turkey becomes involved, could trigger broader economic turbulence. The long-term implications of the strike remain uncertain. If Israel continues to expand its military operations into new territories, the Middle East could be on the verge of a wider conflict that pulls in multiple states, including Turkey, Qatar, and potentially Iran, which has already warned Israel against reckless adventurism. For ordinary people in Doha, the attack was a terrifying reminder that even wealthy Gulf states are not immune from the violence of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Residents reported panic as sirens blared and children were evacuated from schools the following morning. Some expressed anger at their government for hosting Hamas figures, while others blamed Israel for turning Qatar into a battlefield. As night fell again over Doha, the atmosphere remained tense. Security was tightened around government buildings, the international airport, and foreign embassies. Rumors spread on social media about further strikes, though no official confirmation emerged. What is clear, however, is that Israel's strike in Doha has shifted the conflict onto entirely new ground. No longer limited to Gaza, Lebanon, or Syria, the war has now reached the heart of the Gulf, drawing in powers like Turkey and forcing the international community to grapple with the possibility of a much larger regional war.